uh, that care can be provided, where experiences can be shared, where empathy itself is conveyed, and where a sense of belonging can be created. Now, we said, what is client-worker relationship in casework? The social worker should note that casework focuses on understanding the client. The caseworker needs to understand his or her client, the psychological needs, and the fact that making contact to build a relationship and create an enabling environment and rapport is important. When enabling environment and good rapport is created between the caseworker and the client, it is very easy to achieve the objective or mission that is set. So for contact to or relationship to be created and for it to be of any use, the client needs to have enough confidence and at least a very good level of confidence in the worker's good faith. That the client needs to know and have this confidence that this worker, the social worker working with me, I need to have a very good faith in such a person that he will bring me solution or will help me to arrive at the solution that will be okay for the problem that has been identified. So the worker needs to have respect for the client as an individual. And then we need to treat the client as an individual. Now, client-worker relationship is the way the professional communicates with the customers, or let me say, with our clients. It's a way of customer relationship management. It's a system of maintaining good and workable relationship with clients in order to maximally achieve our aim. And what's our aim? Bringing about justice, bringing about transformation, and achieving a better behavior as per where the client is concerned. It's a way of addressing client relationship challenges. And most of the time, the client and the caseworker may be new to each other. They don't necessarily have to have known each other, but most of the time, you don't know your client until the issue starts. So there's need to create a good rapport to the point that the client will want to open up. And this will involve a lot of things, on the part of the social worker. For example, the mode of dressing of the social worker must be a professional, must be, present ourselves professionally. The kind of language we use when discussing, courtesy, our mode of addressing the clients, our attitude. The first impression is always, very important. You have to even up to the body language of, if the body language of the professional is also very important. All of this will determine the success of the interaction, to determine the success of the business that we are involving in for that day. And the client also has to remove biasment. And you should know also that there's no enforcement. I think we talked about that, the last line. There's no enforcement. We should arrive at solution together. The caseworker-client relationship is actually the heart of any business. It determines whether the caseworker will continue in business, determines the success of the business. It determines if the caseworker will still have somebody, another client after that. It's a strategy to manage the organization's relationship and interaction with customers and ultimately potential customers, as if they are going to have another customer after that interaction. It will be dependent on the relationship that is established between the caseworker and the client. So in order for clients to reach their fullest potential, it is better for the caseworker to put all of these things in mind. The connection you have with your client is the means or the platform by which knowledge of human nature and that of the individual is applied. We need to build on the relationship to establish with clients. There are some elements in establishing relationship between the client and the caseworker. The client's trust in the worker must be, the client to have a kind of trust in the competence of the worker, of the social worker or the caseworker. Must have a good level of trust that this person is competent. Must have a good, level of trust in the worker's goodwill. And is caseworker not biased? Does he have good intention towards me? People that have issues. I don't know, everybody will want to see another person as, is this person going to be able to help me? The genuineness of the caseworker and the ableness of the caseworker. These are elements that we can, see in establishing the relationship between the client and the caseworker.
Ma, please come back with the elements. I didn't get that clearly. Someone else's mic interrupted.
Yes, I don't know. Maybe the person is in a noisy place. I said the client's trust. Clients must have trust in the worker's competence and his goodwill. And then genuineness of the caseworker and the ableness of the caseworker. Does he have authority in what he's doing? Does he have that? Is he showing authority? Is he showing a kind of being in control? Is he in control of what is going on? Is he fidgety? Is he actually, stable? The caseworker must be somebody that will portray the impression of, knowing what he is doing, so that the client will have that trust and believe that, okay, this person should be able to, help me. Now, building relationship as a caseworker needs to be done professionally. And some principles need to be applied. The principles are the ones that we're going to be considering today. I will say that it is worth knowing that humans thrive and prosper on social interactions with fellow human beings, and their growth and development is largely measured by how well exposed they are in relating with others. Human relations comprise of warmth, comfort, security, emotions, and the ability of an individual to adapt to situations, solve problems, and perceive issues. Now, in the note, I'll give you some notes, and you'll see some authors on this topic. Now, these principles, let's go to the principles of social worker interaction. I talk about the attributes of casework relationship. Their warmth, empathy, genuineness, authority, transference and counter-transference. Those are the attributes, or what you can call the elements of caseworker relationship, caseworker-client relationship. Principles of casework are principles of action. They are based upon fundamental things like influences, that guide and direct. The principles are also referred to as qualities or elements, as they are present in every good casework relationship. Now, the caseworker-client relationship principles, the first one would be the principle of individualization. This principle of individualization is based on it emanates from the basic recognition of each person as a unique entity. Now, individualization is one of the essential notes in the concept of a person who, according to both, is an individual substance of rational nature. Each person is individualized by his or her heredity, her environment, her innate intellectual, her capacity, her strength, and her limitations. Each person has unique experience of life situations from their birth and from other relationships that they have, grown up with. The way they think, the way they behave, and capacity of each of these individuals are different. So you cannot say the way you treat the case of Mr. A is going to be the way or the system that you're going to adopt to treat the case of Mr. B. The help and their problems will vary from each other. So casework will help, therefore, worker must be differentiated. You must differentiate these needs and make them, a kind of way that it will meet the need of each person at that time. Don't generalize. So that's one principle of caseworker relationship. You don't generalize. You treat each client as a unique person, even when they are seemingly having the same kind of issue. The way they will relate with it to that issue or interpret the issue will be different. Because if we are looking at something, the same thing, we may be giving it different interpretations. So there's a principle of individualization in caseworker-client relationship. There are some prerequisites to apply this individualization principle. The caseworker has to be open-minded and have unbiased attitude. Must have unbiased attitudes, no prejudice. You should have accurate assessment of the client's problem and be objective. You don't have preconceived notions or prejudices. Like there will be culture, difference, there will be class difference, gender, even the problem of the client. Their uniqueness. So we must not have a kind of that's how men behave. It's in the nature of men, and you now use that one to start treating, or you have that as a basis in your mind before entering into a case. It won't work. So that's one of the prerequisites to apply principle of individualization. Another prerequisite is the knowledge of human behavior. The caseworker has to have good knowledge, have interdisciplinary knowledge and understanding, which is derived from psychology, from sociology, from psychiatry, because most of the time the caseworker needs to have a broad knowledge of human behavior so that you'll be able to apply as the case may be, as the issues come up. You need to have a good knowledge of human behavior. So we need to have interaction or knowledge with other disciplines to be able to carry out our work. Another prerequisite for application of principle of individualization is listening and observing. Attentive listening to narration of client's problem brings an understanding of the problem to the caseworker. So the caseworker needs to be somebody that is calm. You won't jump into an issue. Listen and be observant. Competent and professional listening requires not only paying attention to the words that have been said by the client, but it also involves observing, analyzing body gestures, physical signs of hesitation, at times the emotion, the facial expression, the body language, all has to be, observed by the caseworker when you're applying the principle of individualization. Because the way I will say something is different from the way another person will say it. If somebody else is taking this class, the way the person will handle it will be different from the way I'm handling it. And we want to handle the same subject, or we are handling the same subject. So being attentive and observant is a prerequisite to apply the principle of individualization by a caseworker. Then the caseworker also needs to be able to move with the client's pace. You should be able to move at the pace of the client. You must begin where the client is. You begin where the client is and proceed at the pace of that client when we are applying the principle of individualization. The correct pacing, when we have the right pacing, the right timing, it will give us the right timing. It is the secret of the right timing at every stage of the social work process. The social work process is study, diagnose, and treatment, fine. But we need to go at the pace of the client. We need to allow time for the client to have trust in us. The caseworker should not say, come to me. If you don't trust me, why did you come to me in the first place? No. We need to allow the client to build the trust, build a convenient rapport. We need to move at the client's pace. You don't rush things. You don't do work of intervention in a rush, because there are some things that are underlining that needs to be known, that needs to be seen, that will not be on the top, that will not be on the surface. We might need to, look deep down before we can get exactly what the root is. So if we are rushing, or if we want to get over it on time, we might not be able to get to the root case. And the work of intervention, the purpose of intervention will not be realized. So the caseworker needs to move at the pace of the client. Another prerequisite to individualization as a principle in casework is the ability to enter into feelings of the people, of the client. The feelings of the client are his or her most individualized characteristic. So when we recognize the uniqueness of each person, we will know each person's coping strategy, that they are different, and every person have different ways of responding to life situations. So we need to be able to enter into their shoes. We need to be able to know exactly, what they are feeling. Put ourselves in their situation, in their shoe. Why this person is doing this? What is the aim of this person for getting into this situation? When we get to put ourselves there, then we'll be able to have that feeling for them. We know social work job is a passionate job. It's a job of passion, of human, feeling. So we need to be able to enter into the feelings of individual to be able to do our work. Each person is distinct and possess their own individual reactions to situation. Another prerequisite is the ability to keep perspective. The caseworker needs to be able to keep perspective in the sense that you should not allow those things to come and be showing on your face, whatever it is that, the person is saying, and you start frowning your face. You mean? By the time you start doing that, the person will start feeling like, is my case this bad? Of course, the person knows that the case is bad. So we need to, while the person is narrating their experience, we don't have to kind of put it, in our own style. Our gesture should not be like, we should be able to know how to should be able to know how to control and direct emotions, not showing it on us. The worker would be required to study and assess the impact of the incident of the abuse on this, the impact of the problem, and have a holistic perspective. When we have this holistic perspective, it helps the caseworker to keep focus on the client. So we need to be able to manage our own emotion when we are dealing with our clients. So how do we demonstrate the principle of individualism? How do we demonstrate the principle of individualism? We have to be thoughtful. Thoughtfulness and understanding. That's the first one. We have to show understanding. We don't have to put a kind of demand on our clients that, well, I'm helping you now, so you should be able to leave this for this. You should be able to do. We should try and arrive at things that will help the client together. We have to show understanding. Of course, the client has this issue, but at the same time, he or she has other things in his life that demands his attention. So, for example, when we want to put time, we want to say, okay, the session will begin at so time. The time that we want it to be should be arrived, mutually between the client and the caseworker. It should not be at the timing of the caseworker. No, I have other cases to attend to, so this is the time I have to see you. And you just have to make yourself available. No. As far as possible, appointment should be best suited as per the client's convenience. Should, put some other things, put the client into proper consideration. before making decisions. Show understanding. Be thoughtful. Another thing we need to consider in demonstrating the principle of individualization is providing privacy. You should provide privacy because, of course, not everybody will want to, for the person to even open up to the caseworker himself or herself is a level of intrusion already. You want the person to tell you what he or she has gone through. Maybe the person has been abused sexually or something. The person will need to open up. Now, you, the caseworker, needs to provide a place where the person will feel like we will be able to, able to open up and, say this is actually what I went through and all of that, so that you will not be hiding anything, be able to get to the root cause of it. But when privacy is not provided, it will hinder the flow of the business. The client will not be confident, in opening up. Where, for example, we have a noisy place where people will enter into the office, pull drag, take something from the drag, shut the drag, bam, jam the door when going out, come back inside, and all of those interference will serve as noise, and they are distractions as well. So all of these have to be considered before in putting the principle of individualization into use. We need to provide privacy. Now, we also need to have we also need to keep the caseworker also needs to be able to keep appointments, be prompt. Even when the client is late, the caseworker must not be the person that will come late for the session. It shouldn't be the caseworker that will come late. We should time ourselves, know where we ought to be at a particular time. So that, this also builds, confidence. It helps relationship between the worker and the client. We need to keep time. You need to know what time is and keep it. You don't tell your client to meet you at 4 o'clock and you get there 30 minutes after 4. And then you start rushing, please, Ama, please don't be annoyed. The caseworker is not settled. He's not calm. The client might like, this is the person that's going to help me. And the second day too, the caseworker came late again. All of these things affect the work. So the caseworker must be able to keep appointments and be prompt. You must have a diary where you put your schedules. And if it's not going to be okay, try and do a rescheduling, as in you want to reschedule it. Let it be mutually done with the client. When you promptly keep appointments and you are prompt with timing and all that, it gives a feeling of reassurance and importance to the client. So we need to be mindful of this. We also need to prepare. We also need to be prepared. And that's also part of this care in keeping appointments. We need to be prepared. You don't just get there and that's when you start shuffling papers, start shuffling information. We need to have prepared ahead before the session starts. Get to the place of, the interview or you want to conduct. or the meeting you want to conduct, get there, put your things in place. Put your seats, arrange your seats in place. Get the facts. Maybe you would have read some cases before the session begins, so that you also have a kind of basic knowledge, little information, so that we not just be talking out of, you're not talking out of hair. You're not just picking something from the hair. You have your own coordinated information that you have digested, so that when the session starts, you'll be able to, have something to refer to. Even if it is looking at your book once in a while, at least you already know those things that you have jotted down, those things that you have in mind, so that by the time the the installation starts, you're not going to be blank, kind of. So you have to prepare. If, for example, you have met the client before, you have made some kind of interaction, you need to, go through that interaction, so that you'll be able to plan ahead for the next meeting. So it won't be like, please, what did we even say last week? You said something happened to you last week when we met last. What was it? I've forgotten. No, because you have jotted your own things down, you won't start telling the person to do a kind of recap for you. So we need to be prepared. Then another way of demonstrating the principle of individualization in caseworker relationship is engaging the client. You engage the client. When you engage it, when you know the client has given you a view of what he or she is going through, you need to sit down the client and be able to arrive at situation. You don't hand over solution to the client. Like, for example, when a client or a patient goes to the hospital, the doctor will hand over the prescription. Madam, take this in the morning. These are the drugs you will take. Take it in the morning. Take this in the night. Take this. That is a doctor. You are not a doctor. So you don't hand over solution to the client. You and the client will arrive through the engagement the way you will engage the client. You will arrive at probable solution. You will take decision together, not you telling the client like a doctor. You are not a doctor. So you engage the person to be able, so that for him or her to be able to realize that if I take this step, this is where it will lead me. If I reject this advice, this is where it will lead me. And if it leads me this way, this is the consequence. We have to be able to reach that understanding. The client has to reach that understanding together with the caseworker. So you don't hand over. You do a kind of, involvement of the client in order to arrive at solution. You give room for the client to select, select the various treatments, the goals, the implications of whatever treatment he or she is embracing. Give the client the room to do that. So you both arrive at, the choices to make. You don't give the person the choice. This is what, it doesn't go with the principle of individualization. Then the caseworker has to be flexible. You need to be flexible in doing your work, in handling cases. It is important that the caseworker is open-minded. You don't say, this is the treatment that was given to individual A when he had this problem. So individual C2 should go with this now. You should be flexible, because we are all different from each other and we see things differently. The caseworker needs to be able to adjust goals and methods. You need to have ability to adjust, to, be flexible, have mature judgments, be objective in order to carry out the work. Flexibility is a special way of individualizing the client. When you are very flexible, the client himself will have this confidence, and not be like a teacher-master relationship. So another principle of individualization is the principle of purposeful expressions of feeling. Purposeful expression of feeling. This is where the social worker or the caseworker allows the client to express himself or herself, to express whether the negative or the positive feeling. Recognize this person as, free, and the freedom of expression. You don't discourage or condemn, the feelings that this person is, vomiting, this person is, bringing out. The best thing is to actively stimulate this person to actually pour it out. So you don't stimulate, you don't stifle the client's expression or the way the client is expressing. That's the best way he can. That's the way he can do it according to what he is going through. So we need to give, that freedom to express their feelings and to give it. So we said the purpose of the reason for this allowing for expression of feelings. What is the reason? It relieves pressure. When you allow the person to, voice out, to vomit, just say everything out. When the person vents their feelings, talk about the problem, it helps them to, be relieved that at least I have lifted it off my chest. I've said it out. If somebody has just gone through a kind of traumatic situation, the person is, you give the person the chance to say, so that you not bottle it inside. Because by the time people bottle something inside, it leads to something else. So it relieves pressure. Then you'll be able to assess the problem. You'll be able to assess the problem, assessment of the problem, when the person, is allowed to freely express their purpose or their mind. You'll be able to assess, get the root cause. You understand what exactly the problem is. from the babbling, from everything that the person is, bringing out. You'll be able to accurately understand the problem and evaluate the root cause of it. It gives a way forward to be able to make objective decision. So it's good to have to allow the client to have a good freedom of expression. So then another purpose for allowing freedom of expression is it makes the work to be easier, because you'll be able to, when you listen to a person while he or she is talking about the problem of their life, it provides immense psychological support to the client. The client feels understood. Like, I talked to this person, you understand, because you yourself, you listened, you showed a kind of a respect by listening to the person respectfully and, would I say peacefully, as in calmly. You listened attentively, and the person, saw that you actually listened attentively to him or her. It makes the person to at least feel that, yes, I've spoken to somebody that has understanding. Even before you bring out the solution together with the client, the person is already having a kind of peace of mind. Yes, the person is already having a kind of peace of, because you are giving attention to him. So the burden is getting lifted already. So another reason for allowing freedom of expression is to strengthen casework relationship. The casework relationship is strengthened. Talking about the problem, sharing feelings, and that freedom to talk, to say it as the person is, feeling it, is kind of helping the caseworker and the client to, to have a good relationship, to have a kind of a good platform where trust can be, where trust can be established, where the person may feel like, this person has listening here. If the client knows that this person has listening here, it encourages the client to express his or her feelings more, the ones that are inside. And it helps the client and the caseworker to have a good bond, which will in turn, make the client to be comfortable in that situation, to be able to talk, to be able to open up, and to have trust in the caseworker, where at the end of the day, you'll be able to ultimately achieve your own goal of bringing a kind of transformation or change to the life of the client. So what are the limitations to purposeful expression of feelings? What are the limitations? At times, we have agency constraints. Agency constraints, that the organization where the caseworker is working with or working through might not be able to have the whole of the time, to focus on just one person, all of the time. Because the caseworker may also have other things, other, workload assigned to him or her. And the caseworker is needed to work within the boundary of the agency. So the caseworker may be limited, in some areas. A caseworker can maybe, after all of the interaction and the rest of it, see that these are things that are beyond me. This is beyond me. as an individual. The agency where I work with does not permit this. Like if you expect, if the client is expecting, monetary, whatever, or, those kind of help, the caseworker may have constraints in doing this. So that is a limitation to this purposeful expression of feeling. The workload too. The level of work schedule that the caseworker have will determine the time, his own timing with a particular client. He may not have enough time to encourage expression of deeper feelings. So the workload will also be a limitation. Then another limitation is on the aspect of the client, who may not actually be saying what he or she is actually going through. So it's a kind of limitation. By the time it is headache that is worrying the client, and the client is talking about stomach pain, he doesn't want to go straight to the point. He's just blabbing and talking about something else. This can be a limitation to the work of social work, because the person is not actually telling you what he or she is going through already. He's just beating about the bush. So you may have to, kind of structure the entire, meeting and be slowly working, slowly building trust, slowly building, because the person may not want to say what actually he or she is going through and be telling you something else, hiding, the pain. And it is the pain that should be addressed. But by the time the person is not saying exactly what the problem is, you'll not be able to get. And if the caseworker is not patient enough, you will just treat the headache that is not there and leave the stomach pain. That is the issue. So we need to. This also calls for the caseworker to be able to, be entirely calm, so that they will not slow down the work of intervention. There's also the client engagement. So this one will be where the client is expecting that once I tell you what I'm going through, you should be able to tell me what to do. No, that's not the work of the caseworker. The caseworker and the client is expected to arrive at the solution together. So there's no quick fix in a social work intervention job. There's no quick fix. So how do you demonstrate the principle of purposeful expression of feelings? How do you demonstrate it? You can do it in the following ways, like you must have relaxed attitude. I've said it before that the caseworker has to be calm. They have to be calm. They have to be free from any preoccupations that would not allow you to have full attention to the client. You must have relaxed attitude. Be prepared. Prepare the place of where the session is going to take place. Have comfortable furniture in the room. Arrange the sitting. Do the sitting arrangement. Before the client, comes in, prepare yourself. You yourself be relaxed. If you're going to eat before, get yourself, prepared, in form, in good shape, in good form, even in your mind, so that, the whole thing, the attention will be on the client. and not the clients looking at you and being like, are you okay? When it's actually you that should be saying, asking if the client is okay. We need to have relaxed attitude in demonstrating the principle of purposeful expression of feelings. Be prepared prior to the interview. Must go through earlier work that is done, earlier case work. Look at case records to prepare yourself, to refresh your memory and prepare you, so that you'll be able to plan and structure the upcoming session so that you'll be in control. We talked about ableness, authority, and being in control. Then you have to, another demonstration of principle of purposeful expression is listening. This purposeful expression, the success will be determined by the quality of attention that the caseworker is giving. It will help the client to feel that, okay, this person has genuine interest in what I'm doing. Show sincerity. This will help him to open up and express his emotions. So you must have listening, attentive listening. You must demonstrate the fact that I'm listening and I'm listening good. Not that he's the person that will say, can you hear me? Are you listening to me? No. But give the client the picture of somebody that is calmly listening, attentively listening. And you yourself, you have to be observant. You can do this by asking appropriate questions. Maybe nodding when you're okay. The person will know that you're actually hearing and, responding, showing response. Yeah. Now, you also need to show encouragement in demonstrating the principle of purposeful expression. Show a form of encouragement. Encourage the client to talk and express their feelings freely. You don't ask threatening questions. You don't repeat, phrases of the clients, repeatedly. You repeat. You motivate the client to talk freely. You use expressions that will make the person to, feel loved, feel, wanted. Not like, I'm just doing my job, let me just do what I have to do and go. No. Let the person feel wanted, feel like you're actually interested in him, not just because the job is assigned to you or the case is assigned to you by your agency or by your organization. And that's where the issue of empathy also comes in. You ask questions that will bring, response from the client. Then you don't rush the client. I think we've said something like that before. You don't rush the client. Then you have to be realistic. Be realistic. You don't color code. You let the person know exactly what is what. You should refrain from giving unrealistic assurances. Giving assurance that is not real. You should be realistic. You don't overestimate or underestimate the client's capacity to tolerate anxiety. So you should, be real. So when we apply the principle of purposeful expression of feelings, it will aid in study and diagnosis of in casework. to help the caseworker to gain invaluable material for study and gain a realistic understanding of the client and the progress of the work in totality. So another principle, which will be the third principle, is the principle of controlled emotional involvement. Principle of controlled emotional involvement. So in this case, the social worker needs the skill to communicate at both the thought and the feelings level of the client. So when you control your emotions, it is what the client needs that you give. Not that you, maybe, let me say, weep more than the bereaved. You give what the person, it is what the person wants or what the person needs that you give. You don't say, I want to go extra mile. By the time you are going extra mile, you might be doing something out of point. If I tell you, please, where do I get water to drink? Just show me where to get water to drink. Not that you now start, saying, something less, adding to it. Be straightforward. Then we need understanding. We need to understand the client's, the meaning of the client's feelings in relation to the client's problem. How does it feel to what he's going through? You need to have good understanding of the way the client is feeling to the problem that is at hand. That's when you'll be able to, profile the solution. So your response to the client is very, very important. So your response generally might be the kind of response of attitude, of guiding the knowledge. You identify with the feeling and respond accurately to the problem that is presented by the the client. Now, another principle is that of acceptance. The principle of acceptance is a principle that guides the social worker or the caseworker to accept people as they are. Accept them as they are. Accept them as, their strength, their limitation, their potentials, their weaknesses, their positive and negative feelings. You accept them as they are. You're not to change that person. You respect the person. This is who this person is. There are 3 steps in action of acceptance, and it's perceiving, therapeutic understanding, and acknowledging. You must first be objective and be accepting. You must objectively see what you are accepting. You must acknowledge the individual case as a reality. The quality of acceptance is warmth, courtesy, listening, respect, showing concern, consistently showing maturity, and you are firm. The purpose of acceptance in casework is different from other interpersonal relationships. Acceptance in casework process is therapeutic in nature, and it aims at helping the client to deal with problems. When you accept the person the way he is, it gives the person a kind of sense of belonging, that this person sees me as a normal human being, that this person sees me as a human being. This is somebody that's relating with me the way I am. So acceptance is one of the principles of caseworker-client relationship. There is a difference between acceptance and approval. When you accept somebody the way they are, it's not like you are showing approval. Acceptance is different from approval. Then you need to understand the client better. You understand the client better when you show acceptance. When you accept this person, when you see the person, the issue from the person's point of view, when you make the person feel accepted, you show interest, you show genuine concern, you help the client in reducing anxiety. And the client will also, lower his kind of this defense mechanism will be lowered. But when you are not accepting the person will also want to bring up a kind of, to justify himself. So acceptance is very important in casework, in having good relationship with the client. It helps them to open up, to express their feelings. And this is what the caseworker needs. Because the client, as the client is talking, is checking your reaction, is checking your attitude to all the things that he or she is saying. The way he's disclosing his feeling and showing, exposing his secret to you, he's checking you. He's looking at your reaction, he's looking at your, attitude, your body language. So as you're observing, the person too is observing you. So we should try and be objective and be able to, caution our emotional involvement when the client is opening up. Now, how do we demonstrate the principle of acceptance? One, we give the client a focused response that is directed to the needs rather than the need of the worker. Of course, everybody has needs, but the person that is in focus, that is in attention, that needs the attention now is the client. Not the way you feel, not the way but the client is the person that is in focus. You realize the client's potential for self-help, and you exercise professional responsibility for the promotion of the growth of the client. You realize that this client is talking to me, opening up to me. I'm not going to, be the one that will tell this client, impose the client upon the client that, oh yeah, this is what you know. We arrive at it together. But I'm going to be the one that will professionally control, the arriving. So that, we'll be able to get the solution. Because if the client has the solution in the first place, or knows that this is the solution, you may not need to come to the professional. So in demonstrating the principle of acceptance, we also need to give responses that contains the elements of both the thoughts and the feelings. And then we need to provide specific help In demonstrating principle of acceptance, we provide specific help to the client. It also has limitation. The limitation of inadequate knowledge of human behavior, limitation of counter transference. Another limitation is where the caseworker can become judgmental about the situation of the client. Because we are also human beings, we are not superhuman. So the caseworker's personal biases and prejudices will also be a limitation to the principle of acceptance. Another limitation can be the unrealistic assurances that the caseworker will be giving. You just want to reassure the client, and you are giving, false peace of mind. Then the caseworker should also know the difference between acceptance and approval, so that you will not, be putting doing approval instead of in place of accepting. When you accept somebody, it's different from when you are approving the person. The another limitation is the lack of respect for the client by the caseworker. And the fourth principle, I think this is the fourth principle. The fourth principle is the principle of non-judgmental attitude. Non-judgmental attitude. The caseworker should not be assigning guilt. You don't have to be judgmental. If you want to be judgmental, make it an evaluating one. You don't, casework is a helping process where judgment would imply blaming the client and making him feel like he's responsible for the problem that is in his life. Somebody that contacted HIV, now be telling, hey, it's because you do. No. That's not building caseworker relationship. You are not judgmental. You are being judgmental. You might be, assigning blame. So it is very important for the caseworker to have a holistic understanding of the client and the situation that the client is facing, so that we'll be able to have objective perspective and solution to the issue at hand. Because you know the reason why this person has this problem does not make it now mean that you should start judging the client. He has not come to a court of law. He has not come to a spiritual leader. Even spiritual leaders are not judgmental. They are not supposed to be judgmental. So we need to free our minds. So how do we demonstrate the principle of non-judgmental attitude? How does a caseworker demonstrate the principle of non-judgmental attitude? When you encourage the client to open up and express his or her own feelings and thoughts. Encourage. We don't enforce. Encourage the client to open up and express their thoughts and feelings. Be respectful and attentive to the client throughout the period of, relating with him or her. Show respect. Even if the person is a case worker, sex worker, who now contacted HIV. You want to say, it is what you have involved yourself in that made you to go and deal with it. No. Show respect, and be attentive throughout the period of the interaction. That's the demonstration of principle of non-judgmental attitude. Then you have to be aware of personal biases and prejudices and don't allow them to influence the relationship. Don't allow, maybe the caseworker does not like this kind of things. So you that your life is already ruined. You are still selective. No. So you have to be aware of his or her dislikes and likes, and understand, show understanding. Show understanding. Must ensure not to let personal dislike or likes interfere with what's the work at hand. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Hello. Hello. Am I here?
Hello, ma. Yes, ma.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
All right. Then we also need to treat the client as a unique person. That's also in demonstrating the principle of non-judgmental attitude. You treat the client as a unique person. You don't treat them like, okay, I've dealt with a sex worker before. I've dealt with a teenage, with this drug abuse situation before. No, treat each person as a unique person, as a unique case. The caseworker should refrain, should not be making references to people who you have treated. Is it treated now? Yes, who you have attended to, who have had, similar problems. You should, try and prevent it from making references to, don't make references to people who have faced similar problems that you are attending at hand, that you have at hand. So then you also need to understand that the caseworker will have negative feelings towards you. So you don't put up a defense mechanism or not. Have understanding. The caseworker needs to have the spirit of understanding. You need to be understanding towards the client. So then, another principle is the principle of self-determination. Self-determination. One of the major things that is social work as a profession is really trying to portray is that everybody has something in them. We are all human beings. That's one of the things that social work tries to, to imprint, that we are all human beings and we all have innate abilities. Nobody is a non-entity. We should not consciously, violate clients' person, and reduce. Social workers don't reduce the person of an individual. You have to bring out that thing in them. Bistek in 1957 defines self-determination as, he said, the principle of self-determination is the practical recognition of the rights and needs of clients to freedom in making their own choices and decisions in the casework process. The caseworkers have a corresponding duty to respect that right, to recognize that need, stimulate and help to activate that potential for self-direction by helping the client to see and to use the available and appropriate resources of the community and of his or her own personality. So the client has a right to self-determination. The client is a human being, and he has the responsibility of living his or her own life in such a manner that he or she is able to work towards achieving the goals of life. He should be treated as a human being that has something in him. He has the right to decide the course of action to achieve. It's only that he is seeking help from the social worker to get direction, to get professional, direction, to know the various alternatives that he can choose so as to live a life that is actualized. So the principle of self-determination is also useful in caseworker relationship, in building relationship between the caseworker and the client. Everybody has something in them. We all have innate ability. So how do we demonstrate the principle of self-determination? One, by communicating the problem. Communicating the problem. To actualize the principle of self-determination, the caseworker needs to accept the client, the problem, and has to communicate the problem to the client. You have the caseworker has to enable the client to walk through the emotional disturbance and clearly see the problem. That's why I said there's no quick fix in it. You help the client to, through the way you communicate, asking the right questions, giving the client room to express himself or herself, showing no prejudice whatever. You allow the person to come out. Then you now help this person to, you walk through it, you go through it together to arrive at the situation. Let him see exactly the problem. Let him see the problem, the root cause of the problem, why, and what, of the problem, so that the two of you will arrive at it together. So you communicate the issue, the problem to the caseworker. This is what is happening, but you do it in a way that it is the two of you that will arrive at that thing. So the realization will come through your own efforts. Let him see what the problem is, so that it will be easy for him to embrace any solution that comes out of the various alternatives that the the social worker will prefer. Then to demonstrate the principle of self-determination, the caseworker will also help the client to identify available resources that may be useful for the problem resolution. Caseworker and clients work together to carry out cost-benefit analysis of the alternatives that is available. The role of the caseworker is to balance activity, balance it. You observe and evaluate the words, the actions, and the emotions of the clients. You analyze the client's strength and his limitations. And then you'll be able to, put it on the table. These are the alternatives. These are the resources that are available. And then you decide, you choose together from the various resources that is available. So you enable the client to identify the solution from the various, solutions that you have provided. So identify the resources that are available. Another principle of the principle of self-determination can also be demonstrated is also activating the resources of the client. The ultimate goal of the whole thing is to give the client capacity to become self-reliant. And at times, the client may have resources around him or her, and he will not even be aware of it. So it is on the worker to now, open the eyes of the, client to the available resources and activate, let him have these resources. Let him see it as useful. This is available. This is here. The person may even know that it's there and will not know that it is, relevant. So it is the job of the caseworker to open up the understanding and the awareness of the client. The caseworker also has to create a relationship environment in order to enable the client to grow and work out the problem. With active listening, the caseworker facilitates clients' participation in deeper realization of their own problem. They identify resources and work out their problems. So it facilitates relationship environments. That's another demonstration of principle of self-determination. The facilitating relationship environment. So this principle of self-determination has limitation too. And that's the client's capacity for positive and constructive decision making. That's the ability of clients to, to make decisions vary. Some, by the time you guide them, they are able to grasp. Some will be very slow in grasping. So this is a limitation to the principle of self-determination. You may slow down the caseworker, the caseworker will have to assume a lead role in such situation in order to protect the client from taking inappropriate decisions. So client's capacity for positive and constructive decision making is a limitation or can be a limitation in the principle of self-determination. That's why the caseworker has to assume the role of a, you assume a kind of lead role. You take the step of a professional so that you guide the client, so that the client will not make decisions that will not be helpful. Another limitation is that is limited to civil law. And we know that the general purpose of law is to prevent individuals from abusing or misusing liberty. The principle of self-determination encourages clients to take his or her own decision. The caseworker needs to be aware of the fact that it needs to help the client to accept and adjust to limitations of personal freedom as arising from law and authority. The fact that you are giving the person freedom, and you are telling the person that, no, you have this in you. We have a lot of motivational speakers these days, and they will tell you so many things. And if somebody say, okay, I no go agree, and go and do I no go agree, and enter into into what do I call it? Into the hands of law enforcement agents. It will be something else. So while you are motivating and gingering the client up, you should also be aware that there is rule of law. So civil law is also a limitation. The limitation related to moral law too. There's limitation to moral, then there's the limitation to agency function. It's almost like the limitation of that, the other principle. The function of the agency will be in consideration before you start giving the client the solution to whatever issue that is brought up. The client has to respect the agency function, the function of the agency, the goals, the function, the eligibility criteria of the agency. This will also serve as a limitation because the agency will not go beyond their boundary, and the client that cannot go beyond the boundary of the agency that is working for. There's also the principle of confidentiality. The principle of confidentiality. Confidentiality is the preservation of secret information concerning the client, which is disclosed in the professional relationship. It's a basic right of the client.
Please come again with the definition.
I said it is the preservation of secret information concerning the client, which is disclosed in the professional relationship. While the interaction is going on, the professional interaction between the client and the caseworker, the things that the client brings out or exposes to the caseworker is supposed to be preserved. Supposed to be preserved. It's not supposed to be shared with people. Clients have to reveal. They have to reveal facts. They have to reveal their inner feelings, reveal their problems. But these information, they are very personal to them, and they have to be kept as secrets. There is a need to practice the principle of confidentiality by the caseworker. You don't expose, this is what this person is going through. This is what this person is going through. The client has to have that confidence in you that what I'm divulging to you, I'm not divulging it to a Nigerian Television Authority or Radio Lagos, so that will not hamper the social image of the client. So there are ethical obligations of a caseworker. According to BISTEC, confidential information can be defined as a fact or a condition or the knowledge thereof pertaining to a person's private life, which is normally hidden from the eyes of others. And he gave 3 classes of confidential information as the natural secret, the promised secret, the entrusted secret. The entrusted secret is information that is communicated to a confidant with a previous explicit or implicit understanding that the matter will not be revealed. The entrusted secret is that this thing I'm revealing will not be revealed. Whereas a promise secret is one in which the confidant gives an assurance, a promise after he or she has learned the secret information that caseworker will not divulge it. The subject matter may include the defamatory character facts about the client's personal life, which he or she doesn't want to be revealed. And then the natural secret is that kind of information that if it is out in the open, will cause defamation, will cause injury, or unjustly make the person to be sad. Like information that relates to having undergone through sexual abuse, incest, having marital discourse, and all of that. If such is exposed, the person may be, injurious to the person's social life. So those are the kind of. Then we have limitations to principles of confidentiality.
Hello, ma.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Okay, ma.
My question is, this natural secret, entrusted secret, and promise secret, does it have to play in any crime scene investigation? Because most of the time, when the person that committed the crime has revealed everything, maybe to, should I say, case worker, most of the time, they will have to bring it out. Does it apply in that case?
If the crime is going to negatively affect the generality of the caseworker will not keep that kind of secret. Or what do you mean by it? Maybe you should, did I answer it?
Okay, but what I mean is this: in a situation where maybe there was a domestic violence and maybe the husband or the wife will maybe say some things to the case worker and may
maybe that she actually killed.
Don't tell anybody. Yes, don't tell it. I'm just telling you this. But at the end, it may not stand. So I'm asking, does it stand in this case? All this secret, does it play out in a case like that?
It will not stand because the caseworker is not going to cover. What do I say it? How do I say? He's not going to cover that kind of a thing. No. The caseworker is. You have to make the woman to come to the junction. The caseworker will professionally guide that person to the junction where he or she is ready to open up to law enforcement agents. That is the job of a professional caseworker. You don't cover something like that up. What you will do is guide the person through, the trusts and all of that the principles that you are putting in place. You guide the person to the point of, coming out himself or herself that I have done this thing. The secrecy, whatever, is not to cover up crime. I don't know if I'm answering your question.
Yes, ma'am.
It is not to cover up crime, but it is for you to guide the person to realize.
Excuse me, ma. I want to also ask, during the period where the caseworker is trying to guide these clients to a point where they open up to the law enforcement officer, regardless the time frame it takes, the caseworker may have to remain silent about the matter?
Yes, you may have to. The caseworker may also have to seek advice from a superior professional in such cases. And it's no longer a secret. She? But it is still a secret. Because the client is not aware that I am seeking advice from a superior professional.
Yes.
Yeah. But ultimately, it cannot be covered up. Even if the person has a very genuine reason, for committing that crime, it cannot be covered up. I don't know if I'm answering the question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. I also think that look at the limitation where you mentioned the civil law and the moral law. I think the case of worker, depending on yes, two things will happen. He or she is expected to report to the superior to seek professional advice. I also think case worker should also reflect on where he or she is.
This thing is breaking. I can't.
Okay,
I
can you hear me
can't.
now? Hello? My network. Hello?
Hello? Go.
I think our network is breaking. Hello, can you hear me too?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I think our network is breaking.
Okay.
From my own perspective,
all
right. From my own little experience, as a social worker, if you are working on a case, on a caseload, you are meant to get information from your client, and GDPR is highly confidential. And I don't know how it works in Nigeria. I'm in the UK.
Okay.
And this is how it works. We have what they call CHMNT, Community Mental Health. We have PCN, Primary Care Unit. And we have the Safeguarding Unit. So everything works together. Okay. So as a social worker, you have a right to all the government departments all at once. They are all responsible to you. Like the safeguarding is responsible to you as a social worker. The GP, the doctor is responsible to you. It's answerable to you as a social worker. The financial department, because sometimes if you are dealing with a client that doesn't have we call it financial assessment capacity. So at any information that you are getting, you are writing everything down and immediately channeling it to the right department. Take, for example, if a client is telling you, oh, I've been having difficulty in sleeping recently. So the moment you write that down, you immediately message his GP. His GP, I mean his doctor. Take, for example, Ryan is having difficulty in sleeping.
The doctor is getting information.
And it's instantly, right there instantly. Then the client went further to say, oh, I have my card last week and I was bullied and someone took away my card away from me. Instantly, it's still confidential, but you are messaging the safeguarding department instantly.
But
so
then the client is not aware that that is happening.
He's not aware.
That's it. The client is not aware. And the doctor is not going to come in immediately and start saying, this is what you do, this is what you do.
No,
it is still the professional that will still guide the client,
exactly.
So that's
how it works here.
That's how it works. It's still the professional that will guide the person to, okay, this is, why don't we do like this? You open up the options, and then you both agree. You both, get to the decision that, okay, I need to see my doctor. I need to get this done. I need to get this done. But you don't enforce and, tell the whatever that, no, this is, you make, what the professional does is it guides the person to arrive at the decision, to make decision, to choose the choices. By the time the person can be guided to open up to law enforcement agents, and it's not going to be forced. He himself will come to that realization by the time the professional works on him or her. And that's how it works. That's what obtains. Am I speaking?
Yeah, you're right, ma. You're right, 100%. The only difference is the happens here is if you are dealing with someone that doesn't have capacity,
okay,
then you work according to his best interest. Take, for example, I have a client that is a gambler.
Okay.
So he find it very difficult having money and not to gamble.
Mm-hmm.
So after some various time, we found out that fine, it's okay. He's not mentally deranged. He has everything, but he keep making poor finances, poor
Financial
decisions,
decision.
financial decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't keep going to the food bank every day, and be a regular customer. So they call in the financial assessment committee on him. They assessed him, and he was advised to have a shopping card. So shopping card will literally take away that gambling away from him, because he's going to have a ATM card that he will be able to use to buy anything from the store. Strictly grocery store. Whether you want to buy food, you want to buy vegetables, you want to buy oil. But the moment you enter gambling area,
the card will not work. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was a restriction that was put on him against his will.
But little by little, this guy will come to realization that there's a problem.
Yeah, there's a problem.
That issue is a problem. And he needs to overcome it.
But I think that is always the last resort. And they always do that if you're in a mental health facility. You have been diagnosed to have a mental health issues. That is when they can take decision of your best interest. Exactly. Exactly. In fact, there are some people that they sectioned. We don't do it in Nigeria. There are some people that they will take you away from the community. You are not in prison, but you are not in the. It's just a different
freedom.
They will take you away from the community because they'll see that probably you are harm to yourself, or you are a harm or a threat to the society. So you are not in prison. You are not also in the society. Exactly.
Nigeria will get there. The nation too will get there. It's just that the resources are not, geared towards all of this kind of help.
Yeah, sure.
The resources are geared towards help in that instance.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is. But it's not really geared towards help in this society. The resources are not geared towards help. But somehow, we are hoping that we'll get there. We are hoping we'll get there. This person is raising hand. Bukola.
Yes. Good afternoon. Good evening, ma. I just want to ask that in the situation where there's domestic violence between a husband and a wife, and then one of them has gone to report the other person, how does the caseworker come in this case? And they don't want to leave the marriage, they still want to continue.
That's even a caseworker's work. It's a service. Like one of them has come to report.
Yes.
He or she does not want to leave the marriage.
Yes, ma'am.
It's not as if the person that came to report is saying that they should not call the partner, right?
Okay.
So
what if they call the partner and it becomes another issue again?
Troublesome, as in the caseworker will first need to work on the person that came first. You understand?
Okay.
Get the issue, get information from the initiator. Let me put it like that.
Okay.
Get the right information and know how to get through, because the person that is coming to also has a kind of solution, because he or she is the one that is inside that situation.
Okay.
He also has some kind of solution. So in that case, the social worker needs to first of all get through to every issue, has the right questions, know exactly the root cause before maybe they will have to call the other person, or it may just be that they only need to work on that person, the initiator.
Okay.
For solution to be proffered.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Do we have any other question?
Yes, I have a question, but my network went off at the time. So, question. The first one is, as a caseworker, looking at the 5 principles that you've outlined, I was just wondering if a client comes to you, maybe for instance, a woman, a woman, a survivor of domestic violence, into your office and you want to document the incidences that led to the abuse. Is there an acceptable template to document her when she narrates her stories to you? That's one, because I haven't seen any documentation, a case management template to document cases like this. Then the second one is, as a caseworker, how do you navigate between keeping secret and what the law says in your state? For instance, I know that in Lagos State, the domestic violence law, it speaks against you covering up for an abusive reported case. And if the survivor is not giving you the go ahead to report to the police, is it okay for me to report the case, knowing that the law might come back to haunt me as a case worker?
You may have to first of all let the survivor realize, give the survivor the various options that is, there. Because if the problem is not addressed, you might not have, if the problem is not addressed, the survivor will continue to be a victim because he or she is still in that relationship. So you may have to let the survivor realize what it means to still continue or not allowing, it's not all of these things that you have to bring up to the case of the person being persecuted or prosecuted or whatever. You might call these people and it might just be a kind of talking therapy and all of that the two of them would need. And things will get back to normal. And that's abusive tendency or whatever will be gone. Even when you get to this, what do they call them? These people that are, what do they call this office? The office of, is it public defender or whatever? It's not all the time that they will hammer on people because it's not, you don't do intervention with the purpose of creating a kind of enmity between people that are involved. We first of all try to see how this thing can be resolved amicably, how we can get these people to come out of that abusive nature towards each other and all of that. So it's not all of them that you hammer and say, because you have done this thing, you must go to prison, you must go to, even Lagos State does not, it's not as if they want to do things in a way that homes will be broken, because there are so many things involved in marital relationship. It's more than the man and the woman. It's more than the two of them. So by the time the person reports a case, fine. It's not covered. It's not going to be covered. But the intention is to make sure that these people are no longer abusing themselves or causing this injury to each other. That's the intention of Lagos State government. Not that they want to separate them. Once there's abusive relationship, they must separate. That's not the intention. And the working or the services that are rendered is not actually towards that. It is not to break them or make sure that they separate. No, they must go each other's. No, it is a way. It is the program is geared towards bringing peaceful coexistence between them, because it involves more than the husband and the wife. The program is not looking for ways to bring separation or, let each other go your separate way. You are not matching. You are not matching, or you are not fitting to be together. I don't know if you are getting what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not the intention. So you can still, whatever it is, the program is intended to bring about peace. That even those people that are in abusive situation, relationship, injuring each other, will put a stop to it. It's not that they have to be prosecuted. You must be prosecuted once you are reported that your husband is. By the time you come and report that your husband is beating yourself, and the whole thing is, the questions are asked, investigations are done, and all of the rest of it. It might not even be, be seen or be handled the way you bring it. That my husband is beating, is bringing my head, is doing this. I don't know. Well, that's the purpose is not to bring down the hammer on anybody's neck, because that person that is even abusive in that relationship might be triggered by something, might be something that is inside of him that is So those are the things that we need to bring out and resolve as professionals. I don't know if we are if I'm answering the question, right?
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, sorry, can I contribute?
Yes, please.
Yeah, my own is kind of different because I think two people ask two similar questions that go in Tinder.
Okay.
Nigerian system is different from outside the country.
Okay.
If you are not ready to take up the consequences of reporting either your wife or your husband, if you are in a foreign land, don't try it.
Nigerian system is not like that.
So number one,
yes. Eh?
Number one, part of the consequences is, take for example, if you said, I'm reporting my husband as an abusive husband. So they're going to check you, is it verbal? Because we have levels of domestic violence.
Domestic violence, yes.
Is it the one that has just been verbal or the one that has gotten to the stage of
injury, inflicting injury
or damaging? Damaging is
damaging psychologically and all of that.
Yeah. So the guy may not even decide to touch the wife and said, let me inflict my anger on this jug, on this, all this crane, or the laptop and damage it. You know, the guy has not even inflict injury on you as the wife.
Sure.
You reporting it even calling the police is recorded. Going to your social worker is also recorded. Because the social worker has a pin to protect at the end of the day. And part of the implication at the end of the day may not even be between the two of you. It can lead to taking your kids away from you, away from the disposition of your husband, because your husband will be termed as a vulnerable individual that is aggressive. And they are not fit to raise he is not fit to raise that kids.
The children.
The children. You came by just saying, oh, I'm reporting my husband. Let him see. But it can go a long way.
That society, that society is
complicated.
Yes, and it's not even complicated. It's a feminine society.
Exactly.
The custom is different from our own custom here. That's not to say that our custom is permitting violence or injury and all of that, but the custom is different. We have to be realistic.
Yes.
And
then if you're on the third stage whereby it involves the man inflict injury on you, the very, very first immediate action they take is to evict the man out of the house. During the investigation
separate
case,
them at least before the solution is provided.
That's the one. They will now measure which kind of English can I use? Take for example that you are living in Ikeja. They will now measure like 150 kilometers. Your husband must not near Ikeja again. He can near your bow. He can near Otudubega. But he must not near Ikeja within that vicinity. Not not entering your street. So in case you are coming to Europe,
they have facilities to ensure all of these things.
Exactly. Yeah.
So our own custom is different from that.
Nigeria is pamper. They will pamper you. They will pamper. There's no pamper here. You
no
break
pamper,
it, you are seeing the consequences instantly.
No pamper abroad.
That's how it is.
It's different, but then we work towards this resolution here in a way, not in that kind of way, because that's why you find out over there people just go and make reports because they know that this man will go through this kind of measures and all of that. But in Nigeria, our own custom is different from that. Of course, you will have the social justice, or what do I say? The kind of help that you need, you will have it in Nigeria, but it's not going to be the way it is done over there, where the woman will be, I want to do this, I want to get away with it, because most of them even tell lies now.
Yeah, they tell lies, mom.
Most of them even they kind of implicate their partners just to get their way and all of that.
Yeah. And one of the greatest strengths is the kids. Because at the end of the day, they are not interested in whether your family is breaking or not. They are interested in the kids. They can deport the husband and wife and keep their kids. Keep the kids in Europe.
Yeah, exactly. And those kind of things, the Nigerian system is not. It's not. I think I prefer the Nigerian system. I think I prefer the Nigerian style. We bring a resolution. We bring solutions. We bring a kind of way to resolve the issue. And I think that's better than breaking the home or telling the people to go their separate ways. That is not the kind of solution is kind of a ultimate solution. No remedy. So at the end of the day, the couples might even want to come back, but because the society has put a kind of hammer in between them, there's nothing that cannot be resolved. Well, but I know that we get to that point. We need to get to that point too. Anyway.
Okay, ma'am. Please, ma'am, what's the second principle, ma'am?
The second principle. Principles of caseworker relationship. I said individualization, principle of purposeful expression of feelings.
Okay, all right. Thank you, ma'am.
All right, so this is where we draw the curtain. Let's draw the curtain today. And we meet the next class. Okay. I always like us to do a kind of sum up, but it's like we can't do it today. Maybe we'll do it next class. Somebody will do sum up for us of the things that we did today. Right?
Okay, ma'am. Next class.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma.
Thank you, ma.
You're welcome.
Thank you, ma.
We enjoyed your lecture.
Thank you. Thank you, ma.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a nice weekend. See you.
Bye.
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 Thank you, ma. Bye. Bye, ma.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.